Happy Sunday, everybody. How's it going? Hopefully you can hear me. I did not do an audio check. Hi, Find Summer's Truth. What a cool YouTube name. Slim made it in. Hello, Rexy. Katarina in the house. Angie, Nani, Big Boy. Hey, Bob, what's up? I think I already said hi to everybody else, but hello again. Did the time change affect everybody like it did me? Hi, Alibi. Normally it doesn't bother me. And Monday through Friday, I'm up at like the Golden Girls, man. I'm up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I woke up this morning and it was 7 o'clock. I don't have what you call the gift of sleep. So that just does not happen to me. All I can attribute it to is the time change. So it'll take me a couple days to get used to that. We do have more daylight, which is awesome. And, time's ticking. Pretty soon I'm going to be complaining about the heat. That's all there is to it. I'm going to be just bitching up a storm about the heat. Hello, Lee Ray. How are you? Fan made it in with her new shirt on. Don't forget, we do have merchandise, guys. So I can send you your own menu. It's on my Facebook page. It's on the community tab. It's in the group somewhere. If I could put it on the channel, I would. I've put it on the community tab several times, but I added some things to it, so I need to update it. But anytime that you are interested in buying some CLL merchandise, send me an email, cll72020@gmail.com. Also, something that I forget to say, if I've ever said it before, I don't know, because I'm not really good at the intro to the show, not really good at closing it. The middle, that's subject to the jury's out on that one. But I have to say it and I forget it, and I mean to every day. If you're catching this later on the replay, you weren't here for the live chat, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everybody. Leave me a comment because I do want to know what you guys are thinking. And I think, the last few weeks, we can see people, we know what they're thinking. We haven't really had the problem around here. And I'm going to start with, I am never, ever, ever, ever here to try to influence your thinking or shame your opinion. I really, honestly, genuinely want to know what you're thinking. When it comes to a case like this one, Summer Wells, we're coming on 21 months. Today is March 12th, 13th, 14th, like Wednesday will be 21 months. Hey, Circle Box, what's up, my friend? We're going on 21 months. And we have people who have changed their position, and they are diehard all about Candace. And that's fine. Fine by me. I don't know what Summer ever did to you, but hey, I can sleep at night. However, there is a lot of misinformation out there. It is being said that Dr. Phil cleared the Wells. Well, Dr. Phil can't clear shit. Dr. Phil can clear to commercial break. That's it. Dr. Phil and the behavior panel never once said they think she's innocent. They both said, there goes my damn ice maker. They both said she's hiding something. They even broke down parts where she's being deceptive. They said she knows more. Now, I'm telling you, I don't think that the Dr. Phil episode, I don't think Phil knocked it out of the park. I want the old Phil back. I want the Phil where he's yelling at people, he's pointing his finger saying, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the rubber meets the road. Well, he's tired. He's sick of that shit. He said the same thing for 20-some years, so he's just kind of like, I think you know more. I think you know more. That was pretty much it. Still, there's a lot of interesting information in that. It was sent to me. There was a lot of comments on another channel where people were like, yeah, Dr. Phil said that he believes him. Dr. Phil did not say that. He said he doesn't think Dawn knows shit. I mean, basically, I don't think you got a fucking marble up in that skull is what it came down to. But they specifically were honed in on Candace saying, you know more. We go forward to Ronnie Lawson, who was speaking to a woman who used to work with him, who said to her, well, why don't you ask her? Her is Candace. He's not talking about Summer. Why don't you ask her why it took her so long to call 911? Why? It takes her a hot second to call 911 when Dawn pisses her off. Why did it take her so long to call the day that Summer disappeared? Whatever. Let me get to some comments and we're going to get to it. We're going to look at some clips from Dr. Phil, specifically what the behavioral panel said. There's one really interesting part where, she's coming undamn glued. Undamn glued. Country Christian, welcome, my friend. Country Christian said there is a 4-hour window for sure. You know it. You got it. The sympathizers can't explain the 4 hours. The sympathizers are going to have to explain some other things because we are going to talk about something we haven't talked about in almost 21 months. I have to find the show that I did where, and this was very early on, so it was fresh in the brain. I have forgotten a lot that went on the first couple of weeks. And that was that Candace had different stories. This planting flower story was not the only story she spun. There were a few others. But back to the behavioral panel. She wasn't being asked anything that would flip your lid, if you know what I mean. But she just starts pulling at her jean jacket, pulling the wires off. She turned a shade of red I've never seen on a human being before. Ever. And she said, I'm being interrogated again. I mean, I don't know how it went down when the police interrogated her, but it obviously tripped something in her psyche when they were asking some pretty mundane questions, if you really want to know the truth. Crime Time says 4-hour window. Where did that come from? Well, I don't see that it's 4 hours, but if she left Hunter's house at 2:30 and she reported Summer missing at 6:30, I'm thinking more sometime between 3:30 and 6:30 Summer went missing. I don't think she realized that Summer was missing in 2 minutes or 10 minutes. TBI pinned her down and said, we know you left 2 more times that day. What were you doing? They said to Dawn, we need you to pin down this timeline. Leslie said Summer disappeared the early afternoon of June 15th. So sometime between when they left, 2:30, when they left between 2:30 from Hunter's to 6:30 when she called. I mean, if Ronnie Lawson is saying, why don't you ask her why it took her so long to call? You have Leslie Earnhardt from the TBI, so it's not just what I think. Leslie Earnhardt from the TBI says she disappeared early afternoon. 6:30 phone call, that's not early afternoon. That's getting into dinner time. All right, let's get to some comments. Linda Lou says, hang on, where's my glasses? Dang it, give me a second. I got to find my glasses. Jesus is ridiculous. It's a wonder they weren't on top of my head. Linda Lou says, living in a rural community, I knew every rock and tree. There was 8 houses in our community that children knew everyone's name. Summer ran that hill just like her brothers. She and the boys knew everyone in that community, regardless of what Dawn and Candace say. I have thought about that many times. We've talked about it on here. What are the odds that you're going to live on that hill for 14, 15 years and not know anybody except for Jody Sue? But you know there's a bunch of meth heads, but you don't know their names. You know, you live in an area for a certain amount of time, odds are you're going to know these people, know of them. So I agree with that, Linda. Trinity said, this case is so puzzling. Law enforcement was never really motivated to look for Summer. Now, we're going to agree to disagree on that one, Trinity. Reason being, they had one of the most extensive searches that law enforcement has ever had in Tennessee. We're going to talk more about that, though. A reward with an expiration date. That makes 0 sense. You want to give it 5 years, that's one thing. And then give it to the Child Advocacy Center, that's one thing. But when you raise a bunch of money and say it's only going to sit there for 6 months, that tells us that you don't think she's going to be found. Why would she not be found? A unilateral decision to donate the reward to a totally different entity. Now we have this character paying for home renovations. There is more going on here. Grandis and Candace know more than they let on. Will we ever know? I don't think so. I don't think that they want, I mean, we've heard Candace before in chats say, if you bring up Summer, you're going to be removed. This is not something she wants to discuss. People say, well, that's just how she is, and she's tired of being blamed. She's not the only parent of a missing child that people have had bad things to say about. Morgan Nick's mother is still going hard since 1993, and she's had people personally confront her saying, if you'd have been paying attention, Morgan wouldn't be missing. We know the hell that Brandy and Tyler have been put through, and they're still going hard for their son. They want to find their son. But we're supposed to believe that because it's just Candace. Just silly old Candace. That's just how Candace is. You know, of course she's going to argue with people. Look what they're accusing her of. Silly, silly Candace. Come on, that's just how Candace is. Then you look at JC Dugard's mom. Hell, people were blaming her husband. This was before social media. This is when people would actually come to your damn house and confront you. Don't get me going on Elizabeth Smart. There are people to this day that believe her dad set something up through the Mormon church and smuggled her out of that house. They didn't care. They still went hard daily for their daughter. But oh, silly, it's just silly Candace. Of course she's mad. Of course she doesn't want to talk about it. What makes her special? No, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me as a human being. It doesn't make sense to me as a mother. What mother is going to give a shit about some online people questioning you? Who's going to care? You want your daughter. I think about Michaela Jones, her mom. Awesome lady, Stacy. She's been on the show many times. And she had a lot flung at her after Michaela was found. She doubted the autopsy, totally different story. And she had some pretty crazy ass people after her, some from her own community. She said, I don't care because you know what? If they're hating on me, they're still thinking about Michaela. I thought that was insane. Not insane, but just what a crazy way to look at it. But yeah, she's right. If they're hating on me, they're still talking about Michaela. Paula said, I've heard enough bad talk about Robin and Candace. Prayers for everyone. Well, here's the thing. I don't understand why you go to certain chats when you know we are 100% pro Summer. We obviously are going to have some opinions, some strong opinions about her mother, who, according to law enforcement, is not cooperating, has a timeline that does not add up, has pulled pranks, lied, grifted, you name it. So I respect that. As far as Robin, I doubt. I mean, I'm not really shitting on her. If you really want to know the truth, I don't really trust her judgment. I wouldn't let my minor child be anywhere around Ben Hill Road. They would not be on that hill. I don't mean the road. I mean, they wouldn't be on that hill. Well, thank you, Lone Wolf. It's raining memberships. This is a good month to be a member, too. Check the members tab. But think about it. You have your own family, your own child, your own husband, your own house, your own job, your own car, your own responsibilities. And you decide to take up a renovation project, is really what it is. This isn't a slap of paint. This isn't spraying perfume on a turd. This is flushing the turd and starting from new almost. I mean, she's doing remodeling for them. Why would you do that? I've had a lot of people say, well, she thinks that they're going to go to jail and she's going to get the house. I don't know that it works that way. Or this has something to do with the church. The church is in on this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, none. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine having that conversation with my husband. Hey, hon, you know my 401k? Yeah, how's it doing? Well, I just got my statement in the mail. Looks like, economy's hit us hard. It's gotten everybody. Inflation sucks. But, I do think that it would be a good idea to take some money out against it and help some people that are shady AF fix up their house. That conversation would fly over like a lead balloon. He'd be like, let's make you a doctor's appointment as soon as possible. But for some reason in their house, that financial conversation made sense. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's not even about Don and Candace. To be quite honest, I wouldn't let my child up on that hill. I wouldn't go on that hill because according to Candace, you just get gone. It's that easy. In 2 minutes, you're just gone. Evaporated. Vanished. Poof. Poof, just gone. No sign of abduction. Nobody heard a car. The dogs were not alerted. If she wandered off, 100 agencies couldn't even as much as find a swatch of a t-shirt. Hell, I'd be scared to drive down that road. I don't want to get evaporated. Crazy. Okay, so let's start with the Dr. Phil thing. Now, this is just what I'm picking up. You tell me what you think. When Dr. Phil was talking to Candace, honed in on Candace, and we know that Candace would not take her eyes off of him. She could see her reflection in his bald ass head. She could see herself. She was not taking her eyes off of him. Fan, said Bermuda Triangle in Candaceville. Faux show. You just gone. Hell, on the 18th of June, Dawn's talking to Jeff Bobo. They're not going to find her. She's gone, buddy. She's gone. She's gone, buddy. We got 60 agencies right outside of our house looking for her, walking shoulder to shoulder, looking straight down at the ground, We've got helicopters. We've got drones. They have found every bunny rabbit in Hawkins County, but they have not found a child. If Summer wandered off, she would be on top of the ground somewhere, right? Either wandering around trying to find her way back home or injured and on top of the ground. Candace did not mention Summer taking a shovel with her before she left the hill, so she would be on top of the ground somewhere. All right, so back to the Dr. Phil thing. When he is asking them about the abduction, I don't know why anybody asked Don anything. Don supposedly wasn't there. All he knows is what he has been told. You ask Candace, and her eyes are like saucers. Of course, she is on national television, and she's probably scared that at any moment, Dr. Phil is going to make her look like a sack full of assholes. He does have a way of doing that. He was actually very kind to her, if you want to know my opinion of it. But listen to how Dr. Phil is conversating with them. He doesn't seem to buy the abduction story. It doesn't add up.
Candace, if I understand correctly what you've said, you took Summer in the front door.
Yes.
And you said to the three boys, keep an eye on Summer.
Yes.
Okay. Then you did what?
Then I went back outside to my mom's camper, which was right next to the house. And I had to fix her knee brace for her.
Okay. She had knee brace on?
Yeah.
And that took?
Only 2 minutes.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
I went back in the house.
When you went back in, what'd you see?
And the three boys sitting there watching TV.
Okay. And no Summer?
No Summer.
Okay. What'd you do then?
I asked the boys where she was at.
Okay, she says, I asked the boys where she was at. Now, this is where Dr. Phil's going to start doubting her. Before we get to this planting flowers story, that is the most ridiculous thing I've just about ever heard. She makes it sound like Walton's Mountain. You know, good night, John Boy. Good night. I mean, come on. Planting flowers after running around Hell's Half Acre all day. Complaining about the heat, complaining about her mom's knee brace, complaining about having to, get medicine, but you get home and you have to replant some scabby cactus? No. Okay, so she said she asked the boys, where's Summer? Right there is one of the beginning statements of blaming the boys. She asked the boys, where's Summer? Okay, fine. I've asked my kids where each other was before. According to Candace, Summer went down into a dark dungeon to play by herself. So she went down there. June 16th of 2021, Bianca Maris reported this. According to Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, the TBI and FBI are conducting joint investigation with the sheriff's office into the disappearance of 5-year-old Summer Wells, who, according to her siblings, walked out the back door while they were playing and not really paying attention. Now, they spoke to her brothers. This doesn't say Candace said the boys said, Dawn said the boys said, the boys said she walked out the back door. Now, that did come out. Bob reposted this on his community tab, and I put it also in the Facebook group. The boys said she walked out the door. Okay. Also, around that time, Candace said the boys saw her walk out the door. Candace's words were, she couldn't see her walk out the door. Now, at one point, she said she did see her walk out the door because she said she was barefoot. She's always stuck with the barefoot thing. But Candace said she had her back turned because she was doing dishes. Now we're talking about June 16th, 17th, 18th. And this is all via communication with Candace on Facebook. But that was put out on Twitter by Bianca, WJHL, I believe, that said the boys said they were inside playing. They saw Summer walk out the door. There's a basement door, and then there's a door that's upstairs, I guess how you say it. There's not just one door to the house. There's more than one door.
And they told me that she went downstairs to play with her toys.
Okay. Would she do that? Would she say, hey, I'm going downstairs to play with my toys, or would she just go?
You know, she'd tell the boys.
What'd you do then?
Well, I hollered for her at first.
Okay, right there, Dr. Phil's already picking up on stuff. He said he understands 5-year-olds. He's had 5-year-olds. He has grandkids. I remember when my kids were 5. I remember when I was 5, roughly. He said, would she do that? Would she tell her brothers what she was going to do? Is Summer responsible like that, that she makes sure that her brothers know what she has going on? Candace goes, yeah, she would do that. She would do that. No, I don't think she would. According to Dawn and Candace, Summer ran the show. Summer was the boss of the boys. So why would she check in with brothers and tell them I'm going to the dungeon by myself?
And no response.
No response.
So what'd you do?
So I went directly down there. I looked for everywhere I could look, in the room, under the blankets, whatever. And she was gone.
All right. What's the way to get out of there besides coming back upstairs?
Just the basement door.
That back door?
Yeah.
Okay. And if that door opens, could the boys hear it?
No, if they had the TV up loud.
Okay. All right. Is she know?
Okay, Candace said, he goes, could they hear the door? Could the boys hear the door? She said, not if they had the TV up loud. Well, answer the question, Candace. Did they have the TV up loud or not? Not if they had the TV up loud. Candace, you were in the house. How loud was the TV? You were looking for Summer. You were looking under a mattress that was laying on a concrete floor and blankets, remember? How loud was the TV? Answer the question.
All right. Is she known to go out that back door?
She'll go out the back door, but then she'll circle around by her swing.
Okay. Back around to the front?
Yeah.
What we're seeing here is looking out that back door, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now there's a road there. Is that
Driveway.
a driveway?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, can that be seen from your mother's camper?
No,
That's the
I mean,
back side of the house. You
yeah,
can't see that
that's-
from her camper?
not that part, no.
If you step out on the road there, you can about see your camper.
Uh-huh. And that drive there goes up to the highway?
It circles around the house right there. It goes to the top and then it goes down around to it. It circles all the way around the house.
Okay. Is that the back door?
That's the back door.
That's the door to her room.
Yes.
Okay. If she came out that back door and there was somebody there, could they have grabbed her right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then how would they make their escape? Back this direction,
Well,
away from the camper?
the dogs led, the scent went straight down that dog trail by that yellow generator, right from where that picture's taken.
You're saying then that this is the back door,
Yes, sir.
and you're saying that there was a scent that went this direction,
Yes. All the way down to Ben Hill Road.
all the way where?
All the way down to Ben Hill Road.
Okay. Now, if this looks like a big circle, how do you get back to the highway?
So you go down the driveway to Ben Hill Road and then turn left, and it takes you out to Beach Creek area.
Okay, so for someone to drive away they would have had to come on around the circle and exit here?
That's a possibility, but we think they were parked down on the Ben Hill Road.
Okay, so you think they would have walked on down through the woods
Down.
to the road
Down, that was a,
and
Yeah.
left the car
yes,
down at the road?
yes.
Okay. Already you keep hearing Dr. Phil saying, you say, you say, you say. He's letting them do all the talking. It's no secret that sometimes you watch Dr. Phil and you wonder if he even knows what damn case he's talking about. I'm glad he's going to retire because his game is not where it used to be. But he's letting them talk. So when he says, so you say, now here's the thing, Don was not there. He was at work all day. We have a lot of different issues with that as well. Don was at work all day, but Candace tells another creator she don't know where the hell Don was all day. She doesn't keep tabs on Don. She keeps tabs on her kids. These are her words, not mine. She keeps tabs on her kids, not on Don. She don't know where he was that day. Don says he was at work. He got a call when he was at work and he headed home. Candace said that the boys were at work with Don, to where we find out later that the boys were home by themselves. But they happened to get home and there happened to be an abductor at the bottom of the dog trail that happened to know Summer was alone in her room in the middle of the day, happened to know that the door was unlocked, came up this dog trail, which you would have to know where you're at to even know it's there, and goes up there and gets her. Early on, when it was discussed about, very beginning of this case, we were pretty much all under the impression that she wandered off and she was somewhere on that property and they were going to find her. You have 11 acres to comb through and then some. She could have gone across the road. As time went on and the search got more and more intense, it's like, they're not finding her. This is a remote area. Someone flies blind into the holler, parks at the bottom of the dog trail, happens to know their home, happens to know where Summer's at, happens to know she's alone. Nobody hears a car. Nobody sees a car. The dogs, what were the dogs? Did the dogs all take a Xanax? Where the hell were the dogs? Everybody else that's been on that hill has talked about the dogs. The FBI card unit says there is no abduction. There is article after article after article. There is news report after news report. Nick Burris did one of the best ones where he said there is no abduction.
That's what the dogs indicated. The scent went down to the road and then somewhere on that road, the scent disappeared.
But how would they have known she was going to be there? Would they have
Of course,
gone inside the room to get her?
Possibility. I wasn't even aware the trail was there.
Okay. So you're,
Okay. I wish they would have had the camera on Candace when Phil asked this. How would they have known she was there? Of course, Don just says possibility. Well, yeah. But is it probable? Is it probable? Come on. Well, it's a possibility. Sure. Where's Summer 800 TBI find says, I trust the FBI card team. I do too. Look at the other cases that they're very heavily involved in right now. Michael Vaughn, stranger abduction. Madalena Kojakari, they believe she's been trafficked. They've already been involved in this case. They said she wasn't abducted. So what is it? She wasn't abducted. You can tell Dr. Phil's talking to them, realizing that there is no possibility that this happened.
your belief is this might be the last spot that Summer was on the property,
Yes, sir.
right there.
Yeah.
That she was put in a vehicle there and driven away.
Yep.
Do you have a story or a question?
So for people that think this was in any way, shape, or form a good thing for Dawn and Candace, particularly Candace mainly, I'm just going to say Candace, that this episode of Dr. Phil did her any favors, we must have been watching two different shows, is all I can say. There's a lot of doubtful overtones in Phil's voice. Crud, I forgot to put the link up. Hang on. How rude of me. It's the time change. I'm going to blame things on the time change for a while. How about that? Yeah. Hang on. I'm trying to pin it. Give me a second. Nope, it's trying to put me in the studio. Well, we'll just have to do it like that. I'll just have to keep putting it up there. Yeah, just blame it on the time change. Okay, so it said they went on the Dr. Phil show. People were screaming for him to go on the Dr. Phil show. I didn't really give a shit if they went on the Dr. Phil show or anything. My stance has always been talk to law enforcement. Do what they said. Give them a timeline they can work with. And they've got a timeline they can work with. Don't get me wrong. Hell, look at Harmony Montgomery. Look at the timeline that they had to work with. 2 friggin' years since Harmony had been seen. Look at what Sullivan County went through with Evelyn Boswell. Talk about a timeline. A month? She hasn't been seen in a month? They have 4 hours to work with. Candace actually did him a favor. You got 4 hours. Of course they can figure out what the hell happened in 4 hours. So we get to the behavioral panel. Again, they're not believing Candace. They're not going to come right out and say, you lying sack of denim. They're not going to do that. But they clearly said she knows more. She knows more.
Calm down for a minute.
No, I want to go.
These are tough questions.
No, I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I am.
We'll stop. You just
I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore.
I can just imagine when Candace was talking to the authorities. She's talking to the behavioral panel, okay? She doesn't have to talk to them. She's like, I'm being interrogated again. I'm being interrogated again. I can just imagine what they had to go through when they did interrogate her. She's using these words, I'm being interrogated again. I bet they got real sideways with her because her shit doesn't make sense. I know to some people it makes perfect sense. I don't live in that world. Sorry, I don't. Dawn is saying these are tough questions. They did not ask her tough questions. Asking about what happened the day your daughter disappeared is not a tough question. It's not a tough question. If it makes you cry and you're upset and you're emotional because your child's missing, that's one thing. But she's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm being interrogated again. Because it's always about her. Every damn time. It's always about her.
Yes, I am.
we'll stop. I want you to feel comfortable.
No, I want. Oh, and I want to go home.
Calm down.
I want-
All right. So, as we've heard, they're not cooperating with law enforcement. used to talk to him, but they're not doing it anymore. You've got these two dudes that are just asking simple questions. And she's pulling the wires off of the jean jacket. I'm going home. I'm being interrogated. What part of what were you doing that afternoon is going to trip you out that bad? What is it? These guys weren't in her face saying, we know you know more.
So she starts even before she flees the scene by doing something that we refer to as the trancer in our true crime workshop. And that's making yourself unavailable, whether it's doing this or emotional or something you escape. She's already escaped. It's just a matter of getting out of that wire.
Yeah.
The interesting piece is contrast their body language.
Uh-huh.
Don looks oblivious to all of this. He's trusting us and paying attention to us. She's not. It's an interesting.
Yeah. And
They use a lot of key words for Dawn. Oblivious is one of my favorite. I don't know if Dawn has rewatched any of these, but they don't have a lot of faith in his intelligence. So anyway, the behavioral panel is talking about it, and they said this is what we do in our true crime workshops. And basically, she'd already checked out. She was done with this interview. He said before she even started ripping off the wires, she was done with this. She's not going to do anything.
at this point, she's down in her chin.
You ask them a question and they feel they're being threatened, you'll see that chin drop. It protects the neck. It's something that happens from your limbic system, psychological.
Okay. He says it's psychological. It's something that we do, or she does. I don't know. I've never really paid attention to myself, but when we feel threatened, what's threatening about asking about the timeline, the events of June 15th? Totally understandable for a mother to be beside themselves crying, thinking of the day that their child went missing. That is one thing. But to take it as a threat, what's threatening about it? I wish they would hypnotize her. I really do. That's probably the only thing that I would put my money into, but I would pay the hypnotist direct the day he's sitting there with her. There'd be no build up. We have an appointment. There'd be nothing like that. I wish they'd hypnotize her ass.
Thing that happens. So the head goes down. That's what we're seeing there, along with a lot of I. She talks about it's not working for me, those types of things.
Yeah.
Okay, as if that isn't a huge red flag, and this is something that we talked about, it stuck straight out to us before this behavioral panel, Dr. Phil saga. I, me. It's not helping me. It's how it's making me feel.
Get very emotional. They lock up. Their throat is protected by putting their chin down over their
Yeah.
throat. And then typically in pre-confession, their body will open up, and that's when you close. That's when you go after them.
Yeah.
We wondered.
Now, when my producer asked the Wells for a tour inside their home to better understand what happened the day that Summer went missing, Candace refused. Then she changed her mind and led us into the basement, but only after they had time to clean it. But a month after Summer went missing.
What part of that looks good? What part of that looks good? When our producers asked to go to the house to get a better idea of what happened or how it could happen June 15th, Candace refused. Then she said, come on over after they had time to clean it. Okay, that point I understand. Someone tells me they're on the way over to visit, I'm going to be like either, give me 20 minutes, or it's going to be a hard no, depending on if I have had time to vacuum, dust, the whole 9 yards. She flat out refused, then they cleaned it. She refused. Again, we're talking about her missing daughter. Summer Wells. That's what we're talking about. We'd already seen the house. We already know.
Candace did invite podcaster Chris Madonna of the Interview Room for a home tour. Let's take a look at a little bit of that.
I watched her walk in there, and afterwards, when she was already in there, I walked over and said, "Quiet." And he looked at me and I said, "Watch Sissy, I'll be right back." And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, Mom, I got to go back over with the kids." And that's when I come back up into the house
Okay.
with the boys.
The only time, if you find another place, please let me know. The only time that she has called her sissy is when she's talking about taking her into the house. She tells the boys, "Watch Sissy," or "Where's Sissy," or however she said it. That would be a big difference. She doesn't say Summer. That's really odd to me. That's the only time I've heard her say sissy.
Okay. You walked into the house.
Well, I walked into here. Get up. I walked in here and them three were sitting right here in row with their eyes glued to the TV, like always. And I said, "Boys, where's your sister at?" "Well, she just went downstairs, Mom, to play." So I went over here like this, because this is where the stairs are.
Okay.
It's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her
Down into
bedroom.
our bedroom, and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now. See?
And then I yelled, I said, "Summer, Summer." And she didn't, I listened for a minute, I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this, because this is how I would get down here.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to come down here or not.
Do I got to be tiny to get in there?
No, you should.
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it'd make more sense if you went this way.
Okay, I'll follow you. Oh man, good grief,
No, I know
girl.
if my 6-foot husband can fit down here, you can.
Huh?
My husband's 6 foot, I know if he could fit, you can.
This. Oh my gosh. Way to go.
This is my husband's room.
Okay,
And over here, well, it's a mess again.
that's all right.
But this is where Summer and Little Waylon was.
In the interview, you ask if someone there's a door to
Yes.
her room downstairs. It's a basement room, but there's an outside door.
Correct.
You ask, could you hear if someone had opened that door?
She said, yes, you can clearly.
Okay, so we have footage of her opening that door. Let's take a quick look at the door.
I don't recall if this was locked or not. I
Okay.
don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on me. But I know I did come out and I said, "Summer," because sometimes she'll sit right here.
There was a tiny squeak to the door, and that was it. You couldn't hear that up those stairs, through that cubby hole, and around through that cluttered room with the television on. Do you have?
Okay. Phil's saying it right there. He must have had a V8 that morning. You couldn't hear that door, he said, through that cubby hole. He used a nicer word than most of us. Yeah. You couldn't hear that through that cubby hole. You suppose you got video games on, you got a TV on, hell, we don't know. Up into, he said, that cluttered room. Listen, it doesn't make any sense.
I said, "Summer."
Hang on, she said something real quick.
I don't recall if this was locked or not. I
Okay.
don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on me. But I know
Okay, she just said, I don't recall if it was locked or not. She's trying to open the door and she said, it's hard on me. I don't know if she means it's hard on her to remember if the door was locked or not, or if it's hard to open the door. I don't know. But that is interesting.
I did come out and I said, "Summer," because sometimes she'll sit right here.
there was a tiny squeak to the door and that was it. You couldn't hear that up those stairs, through that cubby hole and around through that cluttered room with the television on. Do you have a story?
Okay. Phil didn't buy her BS. The behavioral panel didn't buy her BS. I really don't know. You know, there's quite a few people who have flip-flopped and they are very sympathetic to Candace. Beyond empathetic to Candace. Beyond. And one of the things that they are talking about are these particular interviews. We all see things a different way. Are you picking up anything from the Dr. Phil episode or the behavioral panel where they're believing Candace's ass at all? They have her pinned down. They're like, we think she knows more. Dr. Phil's like, you can't hear that from down there through that cubby hole. I can't remember who it was that said it. They said when she's talking about the door, she's saying it's hard to unlock. Well, was it unlocked or not? That's clue one. There's no abduction, so I'm not even going to worry about that. How did Summer get out? At some time during the day, her brother saw her walk out the door, but we don't know what time. I think the reason that Bianca put that out is to kind of get, this is just me, sort of get in front of the 8 ball, because it was looking like they were trying to blame the boys. Rebecca, telling the truth isn't in her metabolism. No, it's not. It's not. No. So now it was mentioned earlier in one of the comments about, and I got to pull it up again so I can read it to you. Let me find it. Anyway, about the search. The initial search in June of 2021 is one of the most extensive, if not the most extensive. I'd have to look. It could have changed between in the last 21 months. They've ever had. These people know their area. They know the terrain. They know what they're dealing with. They're walking shoulder to shoulder, looking straight down at the ground. You have helicopters that kept Dawn and Candace awake, drones, dogs. They went through waterways. Everything you can search, they searched. So if she wandered off and got hurt, had an accident out there, and let's not forget, kids are resilient, man. Think about when we were kids, what it would take to truly hurt us. I know a common theory is, oh, she wandered off and she hit her head and she's out there somewhere. Somebody would have found her. Somebody would have found her. Now my question is, and this is not for the community of Hawkins County, but for the law enforcement of Hawkins County. According to Pruitt, she was not trafficked out of that area, as in transported. She was not taken out of the area. He said she's around there somewhere. Well, when are you going to schedule another organized search? When? You're seriously just going to leave Summer Wells' remains somewhere out there? You're not going to look again? Why would you not continue to look? I'm not saying every day. I'm not saying 24/7. I'm not saying once a week. I'm not even saying once a month. But why not like every other month, every 3 months? Why don't you get another organized search? These are his words. The lead investigator, she's out there somewhere. I'm not going to find my car keys if I'm not looking for them. You're seriously just going to leave this child's remains somewhere out there and just not look for her anymore? Why? You really want someone in your community to just come across her? That's what you want? If she's out there somewhere, why is there not another organized search? Makes zero sense. Smiley said, and why would you want a citizen or another child to find that? Why? Again, we understand that searches are grueling. We understand that they're expensive. We understand they're very hard to organize. We also understand that your words, the lead investigator for the case of Summer Wells, Detective Pruitt, says she was not taken out of the area. She's around there somewhere. Is that the respect you have for a child in your community, that you're not going to search for her anymore? The last search for Summer was about this time last year. In the last year, there has not been one search. Not one. And I'm not expecting anybody in the community to do it because there's a certain way that you search. I don't know anything about it. There's been lots of missing children where they're like, nope, we don't need the community's help. We have people here that know what they're doing. Get them out there. You don't need Dawn and Candace's permission. Now, to go on their property, you do. You do. So people talk about EquiSearch and these different search places, search teams. You don't have to have their damn blessing. They can go search if they want to. But the powers that be at Hawkins County can definitely put together another organized search. It's the least they can do. The only thing that we know that Pruitt is doing, his words, not mine, are he's checking his damn voicemail in the morning and following up on he's tying up other loose ends. That's what he said. I'm not making it up. That's what he said. And you can just imagine his voicemail. Could you imagine that man's voicemail? Didn't know if you were watching Jody Sue last night, Detective Pruitt. Did you watch Jody Sue last night, Detective Pruitt? Credible tip has been the most misunderstood phrase in this case to some people. It's crazy. Then we have the issue with the boys. This case bled over into that one. I'm going to look at this clip from Pruitt. One thing that he says in this that I missed before, and it really caught me this morning. See if you guys catch it too. Hang on.
County 6-year-old Summer Wells. And for the first time, we're hearing from the lead investigator at the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office in charge of the case. Tonight, he tells us what the Wells family relationship with law enforcement looks like now, as Summer's father remains in jail and lawyers are involved.
In February, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson told News Channel 11 that the Wells family had lawyers and were no longer cooperating. The lead investigator for the case explained how that, as well as how her father's current stint in jail on unrelated charges, hasn't moved this case forward.
The family has attorneys involved, and that is not a direct line of communication.
That tone is quite the change from what it was last year when Summer was first reported missing.
It was pretty good. We would show up about every day, make sure that they were okay, and had a decent line of communication with them.
About a month later, in July, Child Protective Services removed her 3 older brothers from their home and appointed attorneys to the case.
They have been appointed for other instances, but it bleeds over into this investigation as well.
Summer Wells' father, Don, was arrested late last year for driving under the influence.
Okay, this was last year. Don's not in jail anymore. But when he talks about the boys being removed, he said for other instances. We don't know why the boys were removed. I know there's lots of rumors. I don't want to know. I really don't. I really wish that they were not involved in this at all. But he said other instances. So when people say, oh, they just had some issues with some BB guns, and that was all cleared up, he says instances, more than one. Let's listen to that again. Tell me what you think.
But it bleeds over into this investigation as well.
Summer Wells' father, Don, was arrested late last year for driving under the influence and violating probation.
Going off of that, obviously we know that Don Wells is incarcerated here. Does that play a role at all in this investigation?
No, ma'am.
On February 7th, a judge ordered him to serve the remainder of his 11 months and 29-day sentence in the Hawkins County Jail.
With Mr. Wells, he knows when he first came into the institution, he knows at any time he wants to talk to let their staff know, and I'll get to him as quick as I can.
But
Don was in their facility. I'm using that term lightly. In their facility for the better part of a year. He said he knew when he checked into the hotel, if you know what I mean, anytime he wants to talk to us, I'll get to him as fast as I can. He sat there all that time and had nothing to say. He's alone with his thoughts, and you can imagine, 23 hours a day. Nothing in the better part of a year popped into his head of something that Grandis said, something that Candace said, maybe a weird friend that was around. Nothing. Don, when he spoke to Brian Enton, he said she may have made the wrong friends. He sat right there on Dr. Phil when Dr. Phil said to Candace, I think you know more. He was sitting right there when she was having that shit fit on the behavioral panel, pulling off wires, freaking out, wanting to go home. He knows the behavioral panel said she knows more. She's being deceptive. So you're there for almost a year. Almost a year. They make it clear to you, anytime you want to shoot the shit, let me know. We know Don loves the sound of his own voice. We know it. He was segregated, so he can't talk to other inmates. His only line of communication was them. Almost a year, and he couldn't think of anything? Friends, Candace, Grandis.
Pruitt hopes the Wells family knows, despite the other legal troubles, they can reach out anytime.
Communication between me and the family have changed, but I hope that they still understand that they can come talk to me at any time they want to.
All right, he said it. They can come talk to me at any time they want to. The only reason that people don't talk to the police, and I'm telling you right now, I would have a lawyer involved. I wouldn't talk to the police about nothing without an attorney. But if I'm trying to find my child, I damn sure would be all over it. Because their newfound friends on YouTube are not going to help them. They're not going to help them. They can't help them. Pruitt is very, very well aware of what goes on YouTube. Like I said before, could you imagine his voicemail? He comes in, beep. Hi, Detective Pruitt. I was watching Jody Sue last night, and you wouldn't believe what she said. I'd be like, I'd have Jody Sue in jail before I had them in jail. I would be so sick of her obstructing justice and interfering with this investigation. I would be so done with Jody Sue interfering with an investigation. So we've known since the summer of 2021 that they said no abduction. So we have people that argue she wandered off. I would prefer that she just wandered off and got lost in the woods. I do not want anything worse to happen to these children. I think it's sick, some of the people that fantasize about it. I've seen some weird shit out there about people, what they think happened, and I'm like, whoa, now calm it down. I get wanting someone held accountable, but let's get these pictures out of our minds. Please, please. Also from Candace's own mouth. Some people may not know. Okay, Dr. Phil said to her, I think you know more. And she just sat there like a deer in headlights. He's like, I think you know more. The behavioral panel said she's being deceptive. She feels threatened. In Candace's own words, she does know more. Candace says she does know more. There's things that she can't tell. Why? Covering for your mother? What is it? Two people can keep a secret if one's dead. That's how it normally goes. But these are Candace's words. She knows more. She just can't say anything. Rebecca, they don't want to talk to law enforcement. Of course they don't. No, they don't. There was an open line of communication. Something shut that down. I have a feeling that what shut it down was we're being asked questions that we know we can't answer. Then I do, again, I back the blue, dudes. I back the blue. You know I do. Listen to that, it rhymed. But on what planet does it make sense to say, we know she's out there somewhere? Well, then there should be more organized searches going on. I don't think it should be every day, every week, every 2 weeks, every month. But from March of 2022 to today, what is today? March 12th, 2023? And in the last year, there hasn't been one organized search for Summer, but you think she's out there somewhere? No. Let's listen to this. This is on a channel called, Criminal. She changed the name of her channel. Anyhow, I like how she put this together. This is the top 10 most disturbing things Candace has said. Now, this is her top 10. We can probably come up with 100. She also does one on Dawn. Most interesting is when Candace was popping her damn mouth off. Again, these are her words, not mine. Some people will say, oh, it's just because she was drinking, she was doing that. Well, according to her friend Kathy, after she left this rehab, she didn't even make it 24 hours. She didn't drink at all when she was with Kathy. Then, according to Kathy, she went back to Dawn. And, well, I guess she started drinking again because the foster parents said that she was calling the foster home drunk. She's calling their cell phone, calling them up drunk. I don't know. I didn't know that you could turn alcoholism on and off like that. Last I heard, it was a disease that needs to be treated. Candace is quite the enigma. Quite the enigma. So listen to this. I'm going to go back to the part where she says she knows more but can't say anything.
Like mother of missing Summer Wells has made some questionable and, in my opinion, quite disturbing appearances online. Let's have a look at 10 of those. Number 1, seemingly not engaging in the search.
FBI, LE, FBI, everybody's already searched that property so much and twisted and turned it over and made a big old mess and all kinds of bullshit. I just don't want to go like after I've already set it up. So I don't even know.
Anonymous True Crime said, why not search then?
I've been searching the first fucking day, man.
I know
The
that.
first day, the second day.
Okay. She says, I've been searching, man. Her search, the initial search, the first search for Summer Wells, according to Candace, was she went to the basement. She looked under that mattress that was laying on a concrete floor and looked under some blankets. Then she walked out the door and she looked down where Summer used to sit by herself and play. She wasn't there, and boom, she was abducted. Then she tells Grandis she's abducted. Grandis, who just literally gave her a peppermint, like, who knows, it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour, I don't know, says, oh, she's been abducted. So Grandis is an idiot too. What grandmother's going to say, oh, she's been abducted? No. She's going to be like, are you on crack? She's around here somewhere. You got to be kidding me. Nobody's been up here. No one's been up here, Candace. What are you talking about? The dogs would have gone crazy. She's around here somewhere. Ridiculous. But no, she was not interested in the search. When she was told about the third search this time last year, she had no idea what was going on. She really didn't want to be bothered with it either.
I've been looking and searching everywhere.
Number 2, claiming she knows something that she can't say.
There's a whole bunch of stuff I could say. But now there's she could say it. I mean, there's stuff I can't say because it would jeopardize my life.
Okay, again, these are her words, not mine. She says there's a whole bunch I could say, but I'm not going to because it could jeopardize my life. Let me ask you guys. You don't even have to be a parent to answer this question. What's worth more, your life or your child's? If there was so much more you could say to find your child, would you say it? Or would you say, nope, it would jeopardize my life? She can't say Summer. Listen to it again.
Claiming she knows something that she can't say.
There's a whole bunch of stuff I could say. But now she could say it. I mean, there's stuff I can't say because it would jeopardize my life.
Number 3, the Dr. Phil Show.
You know what happened to Summer? No. Do you know who took Summer?
No, I'm not going all the way. I can't do this.
They're asking simple questions. Do you know what happened to Summer? No. No. Do you know who took Summer? No. No. Then she says, no, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. But months later, she says, there's a lot more I know, but I can't say anything because it would jeopardize my own ass, right? It's not helping her. Quit asking her these crazy questions. What are you doing asking her stuff about Summer Wells? You out of your mind? Nope. Nope.
Number 4, being suspicious of her husband.
When you talk to Don, does he show that sort of passion about his missing daughter? Does he care that much, or is it just about a lot of gold?
Kinda. A little bit. Not much.
Did Don have any deals that you was unaware of that may have included your daughter, maybe?
No, I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
Well, did he or didn't he, Candace? Quit being evasive. I mean, granted, you don't have to tell Ernie, but he said, did he have any deals? Did he have anything going on? Is anybody pissed off at you guys? We've heard your activities weren't exactly just church on Saturday. Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Then what the hell? You just said earlier in this clip, it wasn't the same day. You know way more, but you can't say because it's going to jeopardize it. Now, that is something I do hope somebody left in Pruitt's email, a screen recording. They have to have a reason to bring you in. They have to have a reason to question you. They can't just hound you every day. It doesn't work that way. If you take away Candace's rights, well, then you're taking away my rights too. Something like that, though, her saying she knows way more but can't say because it would jeopardize her life, would be a damn good reason to bring her in and say, what's up? We're here to help. We can protect you. We certainly don't want anything happening to our precious Candace. God forbid. Didn't realize all this time that you, Candace, were in danger. Please talk to us.
Is he hurt because of Summer, or is he hurt because he's in jail? What do you think?
You know, I can't really tell, honestly.
Are you 150% convinced that Don had absolutely nothing to do with?
Man, I'm not 150% of chance of anything doing with this. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
Do you have any suspicion ever?
I have a lot of suspicion. I have a problem with Allie, Jose, Jody Sue, Andy, Donnie. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people.
So right here, she takes a page out of the book of Dawn. She's just throwing names out. I have suspicion about Allie, she said. Allie's got her own problems going on, and a lot of it has to do with the dealings Allie had with you, Candace. No sympathy to Allie, though. Don't take that the wrong way. Hang on one second. I had to let the kitty in. So she's taking a page out of the book of Dawn. She's like, I have questions about Jody Sue. I have questions about Andy. Okay. But you can't say anything? No. No, but she doesn't. What about you, Candace? You were there. You were there. According to your mom, she was in that rat trap, tin can, tuna can on wheels, taking a nap. That leaves you, Candace. Candace knows that her mom told WJHL they got home and she was taking a nap. Candace isn't saying, no, my mom wasn't taking a nap. My mom was up. I'd love to know the interaction that her and Grandis had on that hill after Grandis talked to WJHL and blew her script out of the water. Her mother did not stick with her BS.
Number 5. She had to put Summer on the side.
You know, and I don't like saying this, and I don't want to say this at all, but I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys because they're still here, it's still living, and it's still in foster care, and I don't want to do that.
And again, another effed up thing to say. I have to put her on the side. I have to worry about the boys because they're still living. They had the assumption that Summer Wells was dead from the get. That statement makes me so mad. Not that she cares about her sons. That I would expect that, right? She should. Nobody should pick that apart. But to say, I'm putting her on the side because the boys are still alive.
Number 6. Pranking Mary.
Hello? Hey, Mary. Hey. What's going on, Candace? They just took Donnie away. Who did? The police. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, honey. I feel so bad for you. Well, did Donnie ever come into some money that you knew about or anything? About $80,000. I don't know. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna hurt him. That's not your fault, Candace, okay? Do you think he had something to do with Summer's disappearance? In my heart, I don't. Wow. Okay.
In my heart, I don't. And there's Dawn in the background talking. That was such a stupid, stupid thing to do. Where Summer 800 TBI Fine said, she told y'all Summer's dead. Again, these are her words, not mine. My boys are still living. I got to put Summer on the side. You would think that would be a huge red flag for the lead investigator, who is Pruitt. Pruitt is the investigator. I'm not one to bother Pruitt, leave anything on his voicemail, but I know there's many that do. I really hope that was brought to his attention, not all this Jody Sue BS.
It's top secret again. I want to know where my babies are. I know, Candace, right? Don't worry about your boys because your boys are safe. And try not to worry about Summer because she's out there. I believe she's still out there, okay? I don't know. I wish I knew. Candace, I wish I knew where she was. But I believe that she's still out there and she's going to find her way home. I really do.
She did herself zero favors when her and Dawn thought this was a good idea. Other people knew about it before it went down and told them, don't do that. Don't mess with Mary. Don't do it. Because there were a lot of people that said, look, I don't think they're involved. But when they heard the prank call, they said, never mind. They said, never mind. Also, a big turning point for people was the McDonough interviews. That was our first taste of the real Candace and what Summer experienced on that hill. And on that hill, one of the moments that to this day gives me chills, gives me goosebumps, is when McDonough says to Candace, he's in the dungeon, and he says, I understand Summer now. That was something else. RJ's backstage. What a treat. Hello, RJ. How's it going, my friend?
Good morning to you. Doing good so far.
I caught part of your show last night, and then I went to sleep. You and John Q were knocking it out of the park.
Oh, always. It's always a treat when John Q shows up. Ooh, we can get some deep conversations going, but I do want to thank you for stopping by last night. Forgive me if I'm a little bit behind here, a little bit still waking up. It takes me a bit in the mornings to actually be awake. You know, you're yourself. You're hitting it out of the park this morning. I just wanted to make a comment of you paused a couple moments ago. It was on the statement about Candace has to put Summer on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Add to that, and I made this comment into the chat room here. I said, add to that the interview that they had done with WJHL, where Candace all of a sudden has to look sideways at Don for the answer he's giving.
Mm-hmm.
About not knowing what's going on with Summer, or imagining that I don't remember the exact wording off the top of my head, where he was saying that he doesn't know if Summer will be getting returned.
Mhm.
And you
Also-
have the two
also-
oddest statements a parent with a missing child has ever made in the history of a missing child.
Oh, but according to these people, that's just them. That's just them. And hey, you know what? If that's, and I have a feeling that a lot of it is just them, don't get me wrong. But when you have zero hope in your soul to find your child alive within hours of her disappearance, there's something wrong. The writing's on the wall. When he
Oh,
spoke
yeah.
to Jeff Bobo June 18th, so we're talking 3 days after Summer disappeared, she could have very well been alive out in those woods somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He drove it home. She would never wander off from here. Who cares about silly neglect charges? Come on. Kids wander off all the time. They don't do anything to the parents. They're smarter than that. And I'm sure the police told them, look, you're not going to be any trouble if she just wandered off. Kids wander off. But he said, she's just gone. In reference to his sister-in-law, Rose, he said they never found her either. And then what could be a t-shirt by now, I'll see her in the resurrection.
Go. Yes. This whole family, and I'm including generations going back, there is an odd history of attractive women, or in this case, Summer, who, if you look at bone structure and just judge by bone structure, not in the creepy way that Don Wells says about the 14-year-old, looks like she's going to grow up to be a beautiful woman that resembles Rose.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd that they just all of a sudden randomly get gone by their words.
And not to be found.
Right. Exactly.
It's horrible. Nubian said Daniel Robinson, Dylan Rounds, parents organized multi-searches. Why not the Wells? Now, according to them, every now and then they've been searching and searching and searching. Well, I get it. Okay, fine. If you have, you have. I don't need a video of it. But your searches aren't working out. So you're going to have to step it up a notch because the investigator that is over, people talk about Lawson all the time. I get it. He's the sheriff. So he's going to be the blame guy. I look more at Pruitt, who's the lead investigator, and I look at the DA. Now, this DA is not an aggressive DA. He is not going to do a damn thing with this case without the body of Summer Wells. I'm sorry. You're not going to convince me of that. He does not. I know people say, oh, it happens all the time. District attorneys do not like to press charges when they do not have a body and not figure out a cause of death.
Behind the scenes, this DA is very aggressive. Very aggressive. But to public, and you're exactly right in what you're saying. He wants that final piece of evidence, one way or another, folks. I hate to be grim, or whether she is found alive or not. He wants that final piece to be Summer herself.
Absolutely. I look at the case of. Oh, go ahead, babe.
I was going to say, and that ties everything up in a nice little tight package when you have the child or the missing person, because then you don't have to go on a theory. You have the evidence.
Because the crime scene is Summer. Finding Summer tells you everything. Now, I know some people say, oh, well, by the time they find her, there's not going to be anything to know. This is not true. They have come across people from years back, and it takes a long time, but they're the scientists, not me. And they piece it together that body tells them the story. Summer can tell her own story. Why has there not been one law enforcement sponsored organized search in the last year? The lead investigator, there has, by law enforcement?
Yes. They had to change tactics of how they're searching. As a local, I can tell you they've been searching, and now it's not as common now, and they've gotten away from it since June, since the 1-year anniversary. They've searched by drone.
Okay, cool. Good. Because I know that the head of the TBI, he spoke to their state senate, I believe, and he expressed interest in an airplane. And when I asked, I can't remember who, somebody was in chat, we were talking about it, and they sent me a ton of stuff about this airplane. This airplane was used in Afghanistan to see through rock. They could see, penetrate caves. I don't know that he ever got that in his budget, but if they're searching, but it's just not told to us, good.
Yeah. As a local, I can honestly say, and I was touching on this a little bit last night, they had to change tactics of how they were searching. It was exhausting. There's too much manpower time involved. They could cover more ground easily. And with the bears coming out, the bobcats coming out, and starting to be more active that time of the year in the mountain areas, was wiser for them to switch to doing a search by drones and other alternative than having feet on the ground.
And I'll tell you what, drones do amazing things. Now, obviously, they're going to work better when the Johnson grass isn't 10 foot tall. But if they're doing it in, say, February, they don't have to deal with that foliage.
Right. Well, I think the last time they did search that I'm mentally aware of was I know that there was a private, the PIs, I believe it was, that did a search of the Wells property in the immediate Wells property area. But I know of different times where the police, TBI, FBI, and who they contracted through were out in different areas. They were up the west side of the west side of Bays Mountain. They were over on they were over in the mountains that are behind the Wells house. They searched those type of areas through drone.
I wonder when they will do another shoulder to shoulder grid search, or if they will. I know they're super expensive. They are dangerous no matter the terrain. Let's face it, they are. But I wonder, because when you hear Pruitt say she's out there somewhere, it really burns your ass, because how much respect do you have for this little girl that you're going to say she's out there somewhere, but you're not actively looking for her? Like I said, if I lose the remote control, I'm not going to find the damn thing unless I turn the bed upside down.
Right. Unfortunately, when they do these searches, they are being very quiet about it. They don't want media attention. They don't want public attention. They want to be able to go out there and knock out a large area of ground, and not have to be bothered with answering a bunch of questions. So in all honesty, I can say that I have no clue when they're going to have another search. At this point, I think, and I don't know for certain, this is just an I think statement, my just 100% my personal opinion. I believe that the reason you're not hearing from the DA is, as we were touching on a moment ago, is about finding Summer, whether she's alive or not, is the evidence that they have gathered, they're not publicly speaking, has pointed them in a direction that they're close to, and waiting for one or two pieces of information, really one, Summer,
that's it,
before they go to grand jury.
Well, because this, the speculation, the conversation, the theories about the who and the why has ran rampant for the last 21 months. My focus is where. All that other stuff will be sorted out later. Where? Because none of that matters. None of it matters. We know more about these people than we probably know about our own damn families at this point. Shit, I've seen yearbook pictures of these freaks. Where? How far away can Candace get? Let's say in 4 hours. She left 2 times that day. How far can she get and get back home in order to call Dawn and call 911? So they have a good timeline to work with. I know some people say, no, they don't. No, they don't. No, 4 hours. That's a pretty damn tight timeline for them. They know their area.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying that they are picking up searches. I do wish they would make it a little more public to kind of calm people down. I think about the case of little Quentin Simon, and I know some people don't agree with me. I think the police did a great job. And when they knew that Leilani, they had evidence, they had proof that led them to believe, and they were 100% right, that Quentin was in that landfill. They knew that statistically they had a less than 5% chance of finding him just because of the conditions of a landfill. It's literally a needle in a haystack.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't give up. They brought in special agents from Quantico, Virginia. The DA was really on their ass. You better don't stop until you find something. And they did. They were going to extend it till December 9th, reassess, which you know is all about money, and they were going to keep hitting it until they found him.
Oh yeah. So that whole situation and what happened is it's how do you throw away your child? I mean, seriously, how do you throw away your child? I laugh, but seriously, it's just like I can't believe I'm saying those exact words. You threw away your child like he was nothing.
Well, she's nothing. She is nothing. She is a soulless piece of garbage herself. She makes me so damn mad.
Oh yeah. What happened with that is one of those that I don't publicly on my channel cover, but I watched and I watched the news clips of them searching, and I don't know if anybody knows. There's a reason why a bulldozer is constantly moving around the garbage. So they know where that child was from. They know the day the collection was done. They know the area that this was dumped. But garbage constantly gets moved around.
Oh,
to prevent it from catching on fire or other issues that happen that can happen underneath that they can't see on the surface. So it's constantly being moved around. So they had a general idea of where, but they couldn't tell if the bulldozers have moved or moved a section that he would have been in. So it was an incredible search they had to undertake.
Incredible. And they brought in the people that know how to do it. These people are trained in landfill searches. Okay, so with Summer Wells, they're not just bringing in people with 2 feet and 2 eyes. They understand a grid search. They understand a grid search. Like I said, it burns my ass. Thank you, Lone Wolf. Thank you, Lone Wolf. It burns my ass when I hear Pruitt, besides telling people if you want to help, fill out an application. It's like, nobody, doesn't work that way. Now, you don't want my help. When he says she's around there somewhere, we have no evidence that she's out of that area. So find her. That's what's going to solve the case. Screwing around with Jody Sue smoking cigarettes on a live is not going to get you anywhere.
And if you really pay attention to what Ronnie Lawson has said in one interview, and I don't remember the exact date, so you have to forgive me. I can't pinpoint exactly which press conference or release of information it was. He made the statement that everybody within a 5-mile radius is still a person of interest. Within a 5-mile radius of Ben Hill Road.
Interesting. Well, when Court K tweeted Leslie at TBI, she asked about the criminal investigation, and she said, yeah, it's a criminal investigation. She said, because we have not ruled out foul play. As of Wednesday, we're 21 months in.
Exactly.
So in 21 months, and the TBI is no freaking joke. They have a great record solving cases. But in 21 months, you can't distinguish between a wandering off situation with an extensive search. They would have found something. Or foul play. Foul play definitely rings my ears.
Oh, it rings my ears as well. I 100% believe that the parents had no, it's not an obvious statement, not a surprisingly obvious statement. They know more than they lead on. This act of, I don't know, I can't talk about this, doesn't fool anybody.
Hang on, I'm putting your channel in the chat. I'm not ignoring you.
No, you're fine. No, I personally believe, and I'll stand by what I have said from the get-go, that this was a unexpected illness or a sudden illness type of situation, where Summer Wells, in my personal belief, I believe it was heat related more than anything else. Because it just Occam's razor. It's what makes the most common sense.
No, you're right. And for me, because I look at that too, what makes the most sense for me, and I can't ignore Candace's history of abusing children. And it's just, I don't really put a lot into social media, pictures that are put on social media. But I do see a difference between the way that the boys were dressed and the way Summer was dressed. You can at least put shoes on her that fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't ignore her history of child abuse. I mean, what happened with her 2 children that she just forgot as if they never existed in Wisconsin? That was a violent episode that happened to those 2 children. And then she goes to Arkansas. She's on the Kearney circuit. She meets love of her life, Don.
Don the Con.
And here we go. We're having more kids. Now, all these people saying that they called CPS and CPS ignored them. I do not believe that for a minute. I'll get into that on another show. I don't believe that. I believe they were involved on some situation, but I don't believe all these people were ringing them up the way they say now. But these Monday morning quarterbacks in these cases, we're all too familiar with.
I'll go ahead and out what I think about that. And you can, if you want to run with it, we can talk about it. I believe that the DV incident that CPS had come out to investigate, to make sure there was the kids were safe, was going to turn into a bigger case, because they would have gone and interviewed the teachers. They would have gone and interviewed the school district and anybody else that was in a professional manner that had the obligation of reporting. The actual true obligation, not what this law says, is that everybody has an obligation. The people that would have understood that there was what the law, what the minimum that a standard had to be for a child to be able to thrive in the household, they were building a case from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a phone call about domestic violence in a house with minor children, they're definitely going to look into that. Now, Candace retracted what she said. From what I'm understanding, she was almost like blackout drunk and doesn't even remember making the phone call. Hell, I don't know. But yeah, of course, that could have been the tip of the iceberg. Superhero Loves Akitas, I'm going to let you take this one. She said, why didn't Robin and the church report? If there's all this abuse going on and it's that obvious, why was nothing on the church level done? Odds are they didn't know that the domestic violence call was made in October. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, Lawson said to the lady that used to work for him, with him, he said, why don't you ask why it took her so long to call 911?
Sure.
Do you find it odd that it took Candace so long to call 911, yet when Dawn's screwing with her, she has no problem getting signal, service, or remembering the numbers, 911?
Yes, but no.
Okay.
Tennessee has a goofy law. And I'll put it this way, as being a goofy law, because it extends from Megan Boswell, Evelyn Boswell's disappearance.
Yeah, Evelyn's Law. Yeah.
Yes, where there's a timely reporting law for a missing child that has to be done in Tennessee. Otherwise, the parents are criminally charged.
They have it in North Carolina too, because that's what they're holding Madalena Kojikari's parents on, because they did not report her missing within 24 hours. They have Kaylee's Law in Florida, where you have 24 hours. Now, to me, 24 hours is too long, but that's the bar they set for children. Okay.
The way the law is actually worded in Tennessee, it's a maximum of 24 hours, but it actually says that it has to be within a reasonable amount of time, no longer than 24 hours. So reasonable amount of time, I have a missing kid. I go out and search my neighborhood, make sure she's not, he or she didn't run off to the playground that's a couple 100 yards away, or the dog run, because I know that my child loves dogs, within an hour, 2 hours. That could be a reasonable amount of time. 4 hours. Now we're getting into the information of I ran errands. Don't get me wrong, folks. That when I personally believe that when they said on the 911 dispatch call, the fact that she ran is that she ran errands without the kids.
That's another strange thing about that day. It was said by them, their words, not me. I didn't hear it on Facebook. Nobody told me. This is from them, that it was not uncommon for Summer to sleep till noon, 1 o'clock. Yet, and also, it's not uncommon for the oldest brother to be left in charge of the younger children. But
now
she took Summer that day. Why did she have to wake Summer up that day and drag her around on these insane errands? Unless she thought taking her mom to the ER was going to eat up a big portion of her day. I don't know. Because it was not a doctor's appointment. Grandis blew that out of the water. She said, Candace got me up. Candace said, I'm worried about your knee. Candace said, we need to take you to have it looked at. They went to the ER. There was no scheduled appointment like Candace said.
Right. So during the ick that went around at that time, they were going to be taking her to a clinic. And because of the ick that went around, and I think everybody will understand what I mean by when I say ick, I don't say the full word. They had to go to the hospital for the clinic because it was out of the hospital that the clinic was running.
And the decision was made that morning, according to Grandis. This was nothing pre-scheduled.
Right.
It's just one more oddity of the day. And also, we have something that I think is really odd, and that's that Candace gave a shit about someone beside herself. Could you just imagine? Mother, your knee. Mother, I must take you for medical attention now, Mother. Your knee. Oh, Mother, your knee. Mother, I have to have your knee looked at. Mother, I won't be able to do anything today until this knee is looked at. Oh, Mother, look at your knee. That must really hurt. Hell no. Grandis could be gripping her chest about to go to heaven, and Candace would be like, well, I was going to call 911, but I couldn't get a signal.
So let's take a step back, though, and let's take a look at why there was concern over the knee. The boys were roughhousing.
Yeah, before those boys beat Grandis in the knee all the way to Gatlinburg the week before. Do you really see Grandis sitting there taking those boys, beating her in the knee?
No, but it took a week since that trip of that knee being swollen and immobility issues or problems with it for them to finally say, let's go to the clinic.
Yeah, but she just had to. God, come on. If Candace, and Grandis knows better than this. She knows her. The minute that Candace is concerned about anybody besides herself, there's an ulterior motive. What was the ulterior motive? Why did she have to contact Hunter? I don't believe for a minute that Hunter has some sort of sixth sense and knew that they were right by and he called her. Why did she have to call Hunter that day? She already had Summer with her.
I talked about this just last night. and it goes back to being that Hunter, regardless of his age, would play with Summer on her intellectual level. And he didn't care that he was playing with his 10-year younger cousin. Some game that a teenager would not normally go and play. And that Summer actually looked up to him because of that. And it was for a dual purpose of proof of life that day.
Yep.
And I believe that there was another usage that Candace needed H there. And now we're getting into the cell phone that's never been given back to H.
No, they took his phone. They took Grandis's. They took Candace's. They took Dawn's. They took some very, I'm trying to think of the right word, peculiar things in their initial search. Now, of course, they're going to take all the electronics. They do that every time. They must have had a electronic field trip when they got their stimulus money. They had more electronics in that damn house than NASA. But according to her, they have all these electronics and no signal. Yep. What do you need all the electronics for if you can't get a signal up there?
Yep. The only one that really, if you look at that whole situation with just the cell phones alone, who's the person that lost out? Hunter. Because you had complaints from the Wells that they were fortunate enough to be eligible for upgrades for their phones and had used the upgrades to get new phones, which then they complain about missing information from their phones.
Well, they don't need to worry about their missing information. The authorities have it. According to Pruitt, they have gone through all the data.
Right. And that's exactly where I'm going with this. They severed the ties of the cloud service or services. So when they did get those new phones, when that phone would automatically upgrade or upload or read or download, however you want to say it, the information was never, ever going to be on that new phone. It was isolated.
Well, and then you're exactly right. And then Candace says, she searched the next day, the next day, the next day. She might have poked around on the 16th. I don't know. I have no idea. But we know on the 17th is when she made the conscious effort. She drove to Allie's house to ask them what they've been telling the TBI. This was not a thank you for helping. This was a confrontation. This was a confrontation. This was an intimidation tactic.
So just to go back, no, they were not able to search on the 16th. The parents were not able to search on the 16th. And in fact, it was the morning of the 16th, and it was routine for a few weeks that as a local, I heard on the police scanner that the police were saying, can you send somebody down here? One of the parents have showed up at the staging site. Can you send somebody to speak with the parents? They were actually kept, even though the police were not physically keeping them from going to work or doing this or doing that. They wanted them centrally located to 110 Ben Hill Road. In the instance that they found Summer, they wanted to know somebody was there. They can get her, get him, get them to Summer ASAP.
Well, and I go back to the wandering off. If you're yelling for your child's going to hear you and yell back, because according to Candace, Candace herself was up, awake, alert. It's not like Candace was asleep somewhere and Summer had an hour head start. Candace was all over that property. She physically held her hand and walked her in. I don't believe there's
No.
Hate to call Candace a liar, but there's just some things I have to call out.
No. There was no incident of walking her to the door If you're going to let your daughter to go outside and essentially be a tomboy and race around the house while the boy's running a bicycle, and you can make the comparison, Don Wells makes a comparison as she was able to keep up with the boys on the bicycle.
Mhm.
You're not treating your daughter as a dainty little girl.
No.
You're treating her as a rough and tumble tomboy. And if they wanted to go to the house, she wanted to go to the house. If you were around the corner, it's okay, hon, go ahead. You're not walking her to the door.
No, she didn't. Do you know how many times I have walked my children to the door on our own property? Never.
No.
No. No. You know how many times I've asked my other children, hey, have you seen your brother? Probably a million. Where the hell's your brother? But I mean, when I can't find where the hell their brother is, it's not going to take me too long to figure it out. I'm going to call friends. I'm going to call grandparents. Did you come by and pick up did you come by and no. Now I'm calling the damn police. And I'm going to be outside like a lunatic looking for my child. I'm not going to be inside screwing around on the phone with Allie. What did she expect Allie to do? But now in this clip, I don't know if you heard it or not, she said she's suspicious of a lot of people. The first one she names is Allie.
Oh,
What?
yeah, I heard it. Oh, yeah.
You think Allie went up that dog trail and got Summer?
No.
No.
Allie was on the other side of Kingsport, minding her own business, had her own issues going on with the neighborhood she lived in. It's not the worst neighborhood. It's not the best neighborhood. She lives on the outskirts of an area of Kingsport that is not an easy place to live, despite it being having the mall there.
I mean, her exact words, she calls Allie a fat ass all the time, but she expects her to be an Olympian that day and come up the dog trail, get in the door, get Summer and take her down. Come on. Jody Sue doesn't have the motivation to do anything except for smoke. None of these people want Summer. But somebody wanted Summer gone. That's the unfortunate thing. Let's look at this, and then I got some other stuff to talk about. I'm glad you're up here. I'm going to put, this is RJ's channel. I'm going to put it here, you guys.
And I appreciate you dropping links for my channel.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoy it.
Number 7. The time she didn't quite look all right.
Subject on so many different topics like kindness, caring, peace, happiness, support, etc. I am learning through this all the hate.
Number 8. I'm effing awesome.
Maybe kind of scare you guys to stay quiet. I just want to, you don't have to answer anything, just say either no, sure, we're okay, or
fuck it off. They've been fuck it off. They've been fuck it off. They've been trying to split us up, actually.
Nothing to see here. They've been trying to split us up, actually. Well, you were split up. Dawn, you were in jail where you were alone with your thoughts. Scary place to be for 23 hours a day. Pruitt said he knows that at any time he wants to shoot the shit, I'll be here ASAP. But he couldn't come up with anything in that, like I said, close to a year. I tend to believe that Dawn is what the behavioral panel says. Now, I can change my mind by tomorrow. You know how it goes with that situation. And he truly is oblivious. Do you think Dawn was there that day, or do you think he's at work? But I mean, why don't they just clear him? If his ass was at work all day, why don't they just say he's not involved?
So the answer to that is a straight up hell no.
Look at RJ go, hell to the no. Because he'd be cleared, right?
Exactly. So from everything that I know, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, you can discredit this if you want. This is as a local statement. This was not the first time that Don Wells had taken the Subaru to work on the 15th, like he alleged that he wanted people to believe. Usually when he took the Subaru to work, it was an indication that he was working a half a day. He dressed better than what he would normally dress on a work day.
He wasn't dirty when he got there.
Right. And he was planning to make a trip to go feed his addiction, which means he was going to be going to Knoxville in the afternoon. I believe that in the course of getting to that, getting to there, he had to maybe drop off a purchase order or order for more supplies for his bosses at his boss's office. Doing that at the point of time, or approximately the time that Candace would have called and said Summer's missing, and the time frame or the amount of time that it would have taken from the boss's office to get home lines up exactly with the time within 5 minutes of getting to home. 5 minutes one way or the other. And this is bouncing down back roads. If you're familiar, John Q and I, we do a lot of work with maps, studying the maps of the area. Even though I'm a local, I don't drive, so I study maps just as hard.
Yep.
There's a purpose that he went down the back roads. There are no cameras along Horton Highway.
Horton Highway?
Horton Highway.
Okay.
Which is where you lead over and how you get onto Chimney Top Loop. Just so you have an idea, if you want to look at the map. Going about through that direction from his boss's house, there are no cameras. He could speed as much as he wants because not even the police, even though there's a state police office, location not far off of 81 right back there, they're not patrolling the local road. Any other direction that you put him on going to get home lines up with what the 911 dispatcher said that it's approximately an hour. But Don Wells said it took him about a half an hour, somewhere in about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. From his boss's house, it is the only one that lines up correctly.
Makes perfect sense. I still wonder why Don, with a missing child, decided it was a good idea to go to Virginia on Friday. I believe Friday would have been the 18th of June of 2021 to give Dudley a measly $300. He can Cash App that shit. He can do a Walmart to Walmart. Candace can't do a Walmart to Walmart because she's not allowed in any Walmarts in the United States. But Don's allowed to go in. He's allowed to go in the Big W, if you know what I mean. She's not.
Oh, no, I know. Oh, yeah.
There's many things he could have done, but he physically went there. Just like she physically went to Allie's. This is what you do when your child is missing?
I don't know. Something about, having a rage fit and threatening to blow up a Walmart can do that to a person.
Yeah, I know. So then you have the DV incident. All of this was going down in the fall of 2020. It takes several months for CPS to do an investigation, talk to people. They very well could have been feeling the heat all the way up into June. Superhero, I've put his link in here a couple of times. I'm going to put it up again. Conversations, living room, RJ. I put the link in. This will be like 4 or 5 times. Crime Curious said, how awful do you have to be to get banned from the Big W? That's what I want to know. And I don't even go to Walmart. I can't stand Walmart. But how bad do you got to piss people off to not be able to go to any Walmart in the United States.
Like I was just saying, she actually threatened to blow up the Walmart in Kingsport, one of the 3 Walmarts in Kingsport. And don't get me wrong. There's only 2 Supercenter Walmarts, but there's the Marketplace Walmart also in Kingsport.
If she can't even go to the marketplace, she can't even go and get eggs and lettuce.
No, she cannot go into any Walmart at all. And guys,
I saw a comment saying they don't clear people when a body's not been found. I'm not being argumentative, but they absolutely do. They still have not found Michael Vaughn's body. His parents are cleared. They had not found Elizabeth Smart. They had cleared her entire family. They had not found JC Dugard. They cleared her family. Mm-hmm. They knew that the Cleveland 3, who were held captive for 10 years in Cleveland, they cleared all of their families. So yes, they will come out and say, these people are not responsible. So why can't we clear Don? If Don's ass was at work all day, maybe he wasn't. It was very interesting to me. I'm going to play it again on Wednesday when we do another show for summer. When he spoke to Jeff Bobo and he mentioned 5:30. Some people say, well, he's not good with time. I'm like, well, if he's not good with time, then why say time? 5:30. He mentioned 5:30. 911 was called at 6:30. Sounds to me like something might have happened at 5:30.
Right. I believe it was actually just about 4 to 5 minutes before 6:30 that the actual call went through. And by the time the delays with Broadcastify getting the call out through the 911 dispatch, it appears like it's 6:30.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, I have to address this comment. Forget Me Not said, what the F? Elizabeth Smart is found. Yeah, what I'm saying is while the investigation was going on, before they found her, they had cleared the family. She's not still missing. I didn't mean to say that wrong. Hell no, Elizabeth Smart's been found for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you need to throw, let's take a look at it this way. The opposite. You have the Cali boys.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jean Benet. You have Evelyn Boswell.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Casey Anthony down in Florida, and the Wells. That there's 5 cases right there that they actually never ever came out and cleared the parents.
Mm-hmm. Why? We know why. We know why. They didn't clear Teardrop either. And he's headed to trial for the murder of Harmony Montgomery. Adam Montgomery. I call him Teardrop. I don't want to offend anybody named Adam. It's a great name. Teardrop. Yeah, they didn't ever clear him. How come they can't clear Terry Horman or Dee Dee Spiker in the disappearance of Kyron Horman? You talk about a cold case. We're coming up on 13 years that little boy has not been seen.
Right.
Disgusting. Let's watch the rest of this because Candace blows my face off and not in a Walmart way.
That's fucked up. Oh, because they think that if they do that, then one of you will turn on each other.
Number 9. Appearing to be more interested in having a good time than talking about summer. Number 10. Her social media posts.
You told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray. as you fade away.
We don't know yet if Candace had anything to do with her daughter's disappearance. Number 10. Her social media posts.
You told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
We don't know yet if Candace had anything to do with her daughter's disappearance, but in my opinion, I think.
Okay, that's a great channel. I'm going to link that in the description because now they say the top 10, they did a great job putting that together. We can give a top 100, but we don't have all day. So yeah, her social media posts are very disturbing. Marlena had a great comment. She said he fired Dudley the day before. Now, Don was doing a lot of research. He was looking up meth heads on YouTube because he didn't know how they act. Crazy, but anyway. And that's what he alludes to. He said he was splitting the money 50-50 with Dudley. There is no way in hell any contractor would do that. No way. No way. I don't care how bad you're hurting for help. You're not giving half your money away. That did not happen. What do you think? I'm asking RJ, I'm asking everybody in here. Why did he have to fire Dudley the day before? Is it so no eyes would be on him on the 15th or what?
Oh, I 100% agree with what Marlena said on that. I believe that if you go by with, hang on, I'm going to drop back for a moment. I'm getting a horrible echo. Bear with me just a moment.
Okay. Echo, echo, echo. But no, that's a really good point Marlena brought up. I know we've gone through the Dudley interview before, and we're probably going to have to go through it again because a lot of odd things were going on all at once. Your only help you have, imagine, you've got one person that shows up to work. You've got one person to help you with that drywall, just one. And the day before your daughter goes missing, you can't plan an accident. So when people say, well, she had an accident and they covered it up. But look at what went into the oddities of June 15th. You fire your only employee. One. You have not been cleared by law enforcement, which tells me there's some time missing out of Dawn's day. Now we get to Candace. You actually care about another human being early in the morning when you're used to sleep until noon. But for some reason that morning, you go to check on your mom's knee? Your mom's knee? You drag Summer out of bed. You take her to the hospital, the clinic, whatever. You call Hunter when you have bad blood with his family for a lot of reasons, but you call Hunter. You drag Hunter all around. Not only do you drag him around, you buy him alcohol and you buy him a vape. Had to be something in it for him, right? You don't buy any food that day. What did Summer Wells eat the day of June 15th? See, there's normal things that people do throughout their day. I don't want to know about their bathroom habits. I don't want to know what they shove in their pie hole. But it's sometime during the day, somebody had to stop and go tinkle. They go to Sonic and they get slushies. You're telling me that grown ass Hunter wasn't hungry? My kids at that age and at Summer's age could have just finished a Thanksgiving dinner. If we are driving by the Sonic, they're going to be like, hey, get in there and get me some fries, get me a hamburger. They're not going to settle for a slushie. Nobody ate? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. You're telling me not one person in that truck that day said, order me a number 3, put cheese on the tots. No way. No way. Doesn't work like that way. Hunter, it's been said, and I agree with this, Hunter could easily have been a proof of life witness. The TBI, when they reached out, when they went back and forth with Trevor, they did say they do know that she was alive on the 15th. So between when they dropped off Hunter and they called 911, something happened between 2:30 and 6:30. I have a hard time believing with such an extensive search, dogs, grid, drones, helicopter, underwater, that they have found not one shred of Summer Wells. But then I go back to what Pruitt said. She's around there somewhere. Go find her. This case is not going to move forward without Summer Wells. No way. No way. But I'm going to move forward into my Sunday, my friends. This has been a great chat. I want to thank RJ for coming up. It seems that we lost him. He was having a connection problem. He was hearing an echo. Hopefully he gets that straightened out between now and then. You never know. Sometimes with StreamYard, it works out perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't. But it was great having him up. Check out his channel. Let me see. I'll put it back in here. There it is. He has a lot of great conversations. And we have a lot of great conversations here. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to start talking about the case of Gannon. His stepmother is coming up on trial. So in order to speak about what happened to Gannon, which I'm going to just warn you in advance, it is violent. It is heinous. It's the thing that nightmares are made of. This woman is pure D evil. She's getting ready to go on trial for his murder. It's a big, big case. We've been waiting 3 years for justice for Gannon. But like I said, in order to do it and do it properly, like I talked last week about Kyron Horman, I have to do it in sections. So we're going to start tomorrow. We're going to get geared up for the trial. And I will see you here tomorrow. We're going to do it. We're going to do it together. Just don't eat before, because what she did to him, it's beyond, you can't comprehend it. You cannot comprehend it. So back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central. I think our next show about Summer will be on Wednesday. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of food to cook and not enough burners. These criminals are not behaving lately. That's how it goes. All right, guys, I'll see you in Discord. I'll see you in one of the Facebook groups. I want to say thank you very much to the Mod Squad. Can't do it without you. And to all of you. You're amazing friends, and I love getting together and talking about these things with you. They're not easy subjects. We know that, but we do it, and we do it right. See you back here tomorrow morning.